Welcome everyone to this webinar on how to comply with ePrescribing laws. I want to first introduce myself and my co-host here today. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of PracticeWeb, Neel Kothari, and I have with me Geraldine Guzman. She's our ERX support specialist at PracticeWeb, also a former hygienist and has been on the clinical side. So she is a pro when it comes to ePrescribing, and I'm very happy to have her join us today and share a wealth of information.
Hello, I'm Geraldine.
Hi, Geraldine. So you're going to hear from Geraldine in just a little bit. I'm going to go over some introductory information about our ePrescribing service as well as the legal requirements of ERX, and then Geraldine will provide a great demo on exactly how it works. So we're not just going to give you a lot of pointers here, but we'll show you the ERX in action thanks to Geraldine. Please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is PracticeWeb Dental. Right below the video, you can subscribe on the big red button, and then also click that bell to get notified anytime we have great webinars and tutorials like this, which is quite frequently. So definitely, if you haven't done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I want to mention, a lot of you are already using PracticeWeb, but if you're not, it's important to know that we are the industry-leading practice management software going all the way back to the 90s, and we've been doing this for a very long time. And along the way, it doesn't matter whether we had one client or several thousand clients. We always cared about one thing, is keeping you guys happy, whoever's using our solutions, and helping you thrive. And so that's reflected in all of our happiness ratings that we have out there. 98% happiness rating we constantly survey our clients and see how they're doing. We help everyone from solo practitioners to multi-location, and also anyone who's a general dentist to all kinds of specialties. And lastly, we do provide an all-in-one practice management solution. So today we're going to be focusing on one piece of that all-in-one solution, which is ePrescribing, but we do offer essentially everything from the software side to help your practice thrive. So next, I want to jump right into the legal requirements and deadlines for ePrescribing. This is really, really important, and that's kind of the main reason why you want to get ePrescribing, is to comply with the legal requirements in your state. And the reason why states have, for the last couple of years, started implementing this requirement, you may know this already, but it's to prevent essentially fraud, prescription fraud, which has been a major issue and concern across the country. And so in order to avoid prescription fraud, where folks are getting medications they shouldn't be using or getting it for someone else, they've implemented this system to really not have any gap between the provider submitting the prescription to the pharmacy getting the right prescription. So there's no chance for that to go wrong, because it's coming directly from the provider to the pharmacy, and in a very secure method, in a verified method. So that's why states are doing this. And I do want to mention, as we're talking about laws and the legal aspect, this is just general information. We're not giving you legal advice. So if you want formal legal advice, talk to your attorney and they can provide that in your individual states. And these things are always changing, so it's important to confirm things on your end if you have any questions on that. But the deadline is essentially here for most states. And the biggest one that's dropping in just less than 2 months is California. And so I'm just going to use California as an example because I can't cover all 50 states in this webinar. But as an example, in California, this is similar to what a lot of the states are doing. So these laws that require dentists to use ePrescribing are enforced generally by the dental boards in your states. And so in California, they put out a bulletin a while back saying that the new prescribing law will take effect on January 1 of 2022, so less than 2 months. And all prescriptions issued in that state, in California, all prescriptions issued by a dentist to a pharmacy must be submitted electronically. There's no exceptions to only certain types of prescriptions. And also in that state, this California Dental Association has really been trying to let everyone know about this as well. And I'm sure if you're in California, you've gotten several emails from the CDA about this, along with the dental board. So the deadline is essentially here, and now is the time to act on that. If you don't act on that, you do risk fines, penalties, and license risks. So this is a paraphrasing a quote from the California law, essentially saying dentists who don't comply will be referred to their state professional licensing board. And they're saying it generally there because it's not just dentists that have to comply with this, it's more than just dentists. But for dentists, it's going to be the dental board in California. And they will get administrative sanctions, which could include things like fines, penalties, and license censure. So you want to really be on the right side of the law on this. And if we look at the entire country at a glance, you can see this very colorful picture because every state is sort of doing it a little bit differently. And with California, as we mentioned, all prescriptions are going to be required to be submitted electronically. Other states, like let's take Texas, as far as we know, they only do it for controlled substances. And then there's a very few amount of states that don't have any laws yet, but I would be very surprised if it doesn't come online pretty soon over there too. So the overall list of this, we're going to be linking in the YouTube video description below, just to really quickly show you a glimpse of that. And I've put in red the states where all the prescriptions must be submitted electronically. But it doesn't just mean that if you're not in a red state of that sort, that you're okay. Because if you're doing any controlled substances, even one per month, you need to comply with this as well. And they can very easily figure out that you're not complying because the pharmacies themselves have certain obligations to report things to the government if it's not being followed. So you want to not risk it. And so you can see here that these are the states where they're requiring it very soon. For the most part, it's January 1 of 2022, less than 2 months. A couple of states, they haven't set the date yet, but it's going to be very soon. And then the ones that already require ERX, there are several. So again, the ones in red here are all prescriptions, and the other ones are for different cases like controlled substances. The last group is listed here. New York, I know, has been doing this. They've been a leader in this area, so they've been doing this for a number of years, and we already have most of our New York clients on using that service that we offer. So these are the requirements, and if you didn't catch yours, just look at the link and you'll be able to catch that. But now, after talking about the legal side of it, we want to talk about the benefits of having integrated ePrescribing. So when you think about ePrescribing, there are two routes you can take. There's integrated and there's standalone. And so I want to focus on why are we really pushing the integrated one? What are the benefits? You guys are all extremely busy. I know this for a fact because every time we talk with you guys, there's always something going on in the office, right? And there's always patients waiting or the doctor's tied up, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't want to add unnecessarily more work for your office. So the survey, there has been a survey done of dentists and other clinicians on integrated, versus standalone. So what have they really liked about it? 70% have said that it's easier, in fact, to write a new prescription when using integrated ePrescribing. 80% said it's easier to manage the refills that you will inevitably have. And then 80% said it's easier for staff to prep those prescriptions and also help them manage the refills. So across the board, it's just easier. And that has been proven out because a lot of our clients have given rave reviews to integrated ERX, which is what we offer. So whether it's saving a bunch of time, helping them track everything in one place in the dental chart, or having a very user-friendly system, that has been the experience of our clients. And this one I particularly liked, kind of just more elaboration on that, is Dr. John Gage and Ashley, the office manager at Dr. Gage's office, mentioned that it's the easiest thing that she's ever had, an easiest service. And it's just a couple little steps to even do it for controlled substances, which usually is a lot more work. And it goes straight to the pharmacy, they get it within seconds. And the reason she knows that is because right after she would submit a prescription, she would get a call from the pharmacy and just kind of maybe confirming it or having some follow-up questions. And so she didn't realize at first how fast the pharmacy got it. And overall, she felt that it's a very great program and she has no regrets using it. So our dentists are loving the integrated side. What we're offering through Practice Hub is DoseSpot. So DoseSpot is, I would say, the leader when it comes to ePrescribing. They have more than 150,000 clinicians and users on their platform. Overall, they send more than 2 million prescriptions per month. The average prescription time, what Dr. Gage and Ashley over there was referring to, is that it's a very quick submission to the pharmacy. So your patients are definitely not waiting at all there. And then, like I said, they're the leader since 2009, and they've been serving all kinds of dentists, including solo and large DSOs. And they only specialize in integrated e-prescribing. So that's why we chose to work with them. So more on this integration aspect. Number one, you're using a single system. You're not managing two different platforms, logging in on another browser and going back to your practice web. It's all right there. You can see with that arrow, there's an ERX button where you will do all your electronic prescriptions. And it's right in the dental chart where you're going to be anyways most of the time when you're working with a patient on a clinical side. Then the records from the electronic prescriptions will show up automatically in your dental chart. There's no need to manually enter that in or record it, which you would have to do if you're using a standalone service. So again, saving you a lot of time in making sure nothing is missed, because you don't want to mess around with prescriptions. You don't want to miss anything. It's a critical part of the medical history of a patient, as you know. So that's what it's doing there because of the integration. Third thing is, if you have a standalone system, you're going to have to shift to that standalone platform, find the patient again, and if the patient's other information is not filled out yet, you fill it all out, and then you'll have to do everything kind of from scratch. With the integration, you're already in the dental chart. Like I said, you click on ERX. So we're working on this patient. We click on ERX, and immediately you'll see that same patient, all the same demographic information, their medication history, prescription history. And this is just a snapshot. So I haven't even shown you the full screen that's providing even more information. So that is the auto syncing that you'll get, and you don't have extra work. Another thing is you will have these prescription alerts, which are really great in Practice Web, and it does a number of things. So if you have your team preparing prescriptions for the dentist, and Geraldine's going to show us exactly how that happens, you as the dentist will have this alert. So they don't even have to tell you, Doc, I've prepared something for you. You go into your Practice Web, you'll see an alert. There's 4 pending prescriptions, and you'll be able to, as a doctor, you'll be able to review and get that transmitted. And then if there are any refill requests, you'll see those. If there are any errors, which is very rare, but if maybe the information wasn't put in correctly, there's an error, you'll get that alert in here too. So again, because it's integrated, you get all these alerts in the dental chart. Another thing about the integration is drug interactions. So when a patient, let's say they fill out a form, and on the form, medical history form, they put that they're using a prescription medication. This cetrizine is a type of allergy medication, as far as I'm aware. And so that if that's inputted in the patient form, and then you go to prescribe a medication like codeine that might, so this prescription makes you drowsy, and codeine also adds to that drowsiness and can have similar symptoms. So you'll get an alert in the ERX flow when you're putting that prescription in about the potential interaction. And that's a very kind of an innocent interaction there, but there could be more serious interactions. And so because it's integrated, you'll get that alert when you're doing the prescriptions. And that's all starting with the information the patient has given you through the medical history form. Another great thing about the integrated service is that you can use the dental version of Lexicomp for no extra charge. It's part of the ERX, so you can click on this dental alerts option here, and it will let you look up all sorts of information about what you are thinking about prescribing if you're not sure, and any sort of dental related kind of issues or other issues, systemic issues as well, that could be there. So you can use this as an aid to your clinical decision making, and that's all part of the ERX service. So here is an interaction analysis like I was talking about earlier as well, if you're thinking about multiple different medications. And then another great point, we get this question, and again, we're trying to answer all of the commonly asked questions about ERX here. So one question we get is, how many pharmacies does it work with? And the answer is roughly 99% of all pharmacies in America. And so you will rarely, if ever, have an issue where the pharmacy does not use or cannot accept the electronic prescription from this service. So, rest assured about that. And last thing I wanted to point out with the integration aspect is we have a free service. If you're on support, you get the dentist portal where you can access all sorts of great information about your schedule, patients, etc. on your phone. And part of that is you can use the ERX feature to essentially prescribe from your phone. So if you are at home, you get an emergency call, or you forgot to send out a prescription, you're not in the office, you can do that from your phone. And it's very, very easy to do it. And Geraldine's going to show that to us in a bit. So without further ado, I do want to give it over to Geraldine. She's going to give us some great demos, and starting with how to submit an electronic prescription.
All right. Thank you, Neil, for that introduction. Again, I'm Geraldine, and I have experience as a dental hygienist. So I do understand, some clinical things that do work and don't work. And so I do know that DoseSpot does actually work, and it works efficiently and very quickly in that fast-paced dental setting. So I do want to elaborate on the two types of medications that DoseSpot can send. The first is basic or non-narcotic type of medications, including antibiotics, high-dose ibuprofen, things like that. So you don't need a DEA license in order for you to prescribe these. If you do have a DEA license, then you are able to do controlled substance or scheduled narcotics such as Vicodin, codeine, hydrocodone. So again, those are the two types of medications that we'll discuss along with common scenarios. So the first scenario I want to go through is when a doctor does it. There are 4 steps in this acronym that I developed so that it'll help you remember how to use this in Practice Web. The first thing is to make sure that the appropriate user is logged in, doctor in this case, that you've selected your patient, that you've checked that the patient info, like their contact info, is complete and properly formatted, and that we are eventually opening up DoseSpot. And this happens very, very quickly. It's just LSCL. So granted we do that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my DoseSpot window here. And this is the last L portion of that, or opening up the ERX service. And so this is my live database here that has the actual ERX feature enabled. The screenshots that Neil showed you essentially came from this. And as you see, it comes up pretty exactly as you saw in the screenshots. So here, let's say the context is doctor is finishing up an exam. The patient needs to come in for scaling and root plating, which is going to release bacteremia, and they need a pre-med. So it's very easy for him to do that. All he needs to do is LSCL and then add prescription. Add prescription then takes doctor step by step through actually searching for the medication. And so I'm going to type in the first 3 characters like you see here, and I'm going to choose amoxicillin tablet. And so the second step is for us to pick the desired strength, 500, and then we get into the sig aspect of this. So take 4 tabs, 1 hour prior. And so you can put in a dispense unit here, any refills if you needed to. Let me just complete that there. And more significantly, this is how you start building your favorites list. I'm going to click on this gray star to make it bright orange on the far left middle, and you can click on Save Prescription. And here I can just go ahead and name it whatever I want, so it's readily identifiable the next time that I need to use this. And so that does save as prescribed there. And to elaborate on the contraindications that Neil did mention, this, as you see, automatically populates. So it's saying, hey, we have a penicillin allergy. Maybe you want to reconsider, what you're going to be prescribing. So at that point, we can use the actions item to delete this. And you can edit that if you'd like. I'm just going to show you how easy it is to use the favorites list by clicking on Add Prescription again. And now we can select clindamycin, which is not a penicillin derivative. We can safely give that. And as you see, it takes us directly to that SIG portion where we can just put in an effective date for today, and then save that prescription. And all of the alerts here on the success of your actions would appear on the top left. So what happens is the pending medications window generates, and it's a summary of everything that you've inputted. And all we need to do is click on the medication we want to send, and we're going to click on approve and send. And so security is a really big deal, especially with HIPAA, fraud protection. So when you're sending non-controlled substances, just like in this case an antibiotic, it does require that the prescriber would put in a PIN that they only know and that they generate. So I'm putting that in and clicking on submit. And as you see, it says prescriptions approved and successfully queued for transmission. And just to reiterate, this does happen in a matter of seconds. So these, this clindamycin right here under active medications is what we just submitted. And if I go to the status column and hover over this checkbox, it says that the ERX was sent. I can also click on this to see more of an elaboration and audit exactly what happened at when. So that's using pre-medications with the software. And another thing to note is whenever that does get transmitted, it auto syncs into the software right over here. And so if I just go ahead and click close, it's going to take that action, and we'll be able to see that here, clindamycin in the pink portion on the bottom left, as well as in the progress notes. And that's essentially how the two-way sync works. The next scenario that I want to go ahead and elaborate on is when staff prepares for doctor. And what we're going to do is show you this scenario where we're actually going to prepare a controlled substance for doctor. And so let's say doctor is in the middle of doing a root canal, unable to have his attention away from the patient, and he wants his proxy or preparer to go ahead and prepare for him. So what needs to happen is you'll go and have the dental assistant log in as the proxy user. Granted, we do have the LSCL steps. I'm just going to go ahead and log in, select, check all of that, and then we're going to launch DoseSpot. It does, because we have several providers using DoseSpot, allow your proxy user to select who they're preparing for. In this case, it's going to be Dr. Paul. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then this brings up exactly that same window that you would normally see when you're preparing as a dentist. So there's nothing about the preparation process that's really any different. They can still have a favorites list. They can also type in and build their favorites list. And so as a proxy user, you would still, again, see these items here. There are also dental alerts that they can look into. And dental alerts show up in order for you to analyze and to see any additional alerts by simply clicking on this dental alerts here. And so that brings up the Lexicomp window. Let me just carry that over because it's on my second screen. And you'll be able to see any current drugs here that carried over, and use the analyze to see this. And it says here there's no contraindications. And then there's also alerts that you can avail of. So again, really, really helpful when making a clinical decision on what you should be prescribing, etc. All right. And so again, same steps for the proxy, add prescription here, and then we're going to actually select coding. So this is something already predefined. Again, it's a scheduled drug. And so it does allow us to then bypass the second step because this is something doctor already has set up for us, and we can click on save prescription. All right, and so notice that there is this NARX score. So what is this? So it's basically data if the patient has had any controlled substance prescribed in other states, and the prescriber then entered that in their drug monitoring program for their state, it would actually show their score here, which is essentially a propensity for them to be a drug abuser. And so this is, again, another great resource to make a clinical decision on whether maybe we should do ibuprofen instead of, codeine. But granted that they do check out, Same deal. What you would see is the pending medication here. And notice that the proxy does not have any approve and send. And so that is the reason why logging in is appropriate, to prevent that kind of fraud and to make sure that doctor is monitoring and only the one sending. So granted that, I'm going to go ahead and log off. And so choosing Paul Doctor here. And then LSCL steps, very quick. And notice the alerts that that Neel did mention. We do have pending prescriptions here because we did tell our assistant to prepare for us. So I'm clicking on pending prescriptions, and then that allows us to see a different window, actually a summary of all the things that need to be attended to. So that also gives you a link to the reports. So if you're wondering what kind of audit trail you had in reference to your prescriptions, as well as EPCS or controlled substance prescribing, that's definitely there, and that's this blue link. So I'm going to click on the plus sign to see the list of people that I need to send for, and in this case we have Cameron here entered by my proxy user. So to access his record, I'm clicking on view. That NARX score is there for me to take a look at, and now I see the approve and send or approve and print option. So I'm going to take you through that. And so I'm selecting approve and send. And notice that with a controlled substance, it does ask for more things and provides you more things. So this controlled substance ready to sign is a summary of everything, you as the provider on this, the medication, and more importantly, most states require that you would actually log in to your state drug monitoring program, and that's readily accessible here with this link. You can also use, again, the NARX scores that I mentioned earlier to then make a clinical decision about whether you still wanted to go ahead and pursue this prescription. If so, you can click on Ready to Sign. And there is a two-factor authentication that happens. So two-factor authentication basically means they want you to prove that you are who you are two ways. So the first would be your PIN. So in this case, I'm going to plug in the PIN, and if you forget, you can easily change it from here. And then the second would be using your Duo mobile application. And so let me just show you what that would look like here. So Duo is a mobile app, and I'm going to show you mine here on my iPhone. It works on Android as well. And if you weren't really tech savvy and you wanted something a little less complicated, a hardware token is available for you to purchase, and it'll accomplish the same things. So let me get into here, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh my passcode. And so this passcode, again, is going to be your second factor, and we can click on sign and send. All right. And so, like what happened with the clindamycin, the coding does show up in the active medications. And again, it happens very, very quickly. I can see that the ERX is sent and click on that to see an audit trail. So that's one way to go about it. All right, and so I want to then go over the last scenario that would be common for you, and that's actually prescribing using your mobile device via the dentist portal, which is what Neel elaborated on earlier. And so let me bring that over. This does work with Android. It works really with any mobile device, even your iPad. It works with your internet. And you'll be able to actually see the actual portal here. All right, so it does allow you to search for a patient. And I'm going to do that really quickly. And we have Jim Kirk that I want to search for. And I'm clicking on prescriptions. So this then shows you prescriptions. It also shows you medications, and this is our test patient, so he's highly medicated. And then we do have allergies and problems in here, so that, again, this is a resource that you can use to make the right decision about what to prescribe. So open ePrescribing portal is what I'm clicking on the very top. That's also available on the very bottom. And the very familiar window that you normally see in Office will show up. So it's not anything that you would need to learn more about in reference to navigating. So what I want to emphasize here is that it's very, very easy to use DoseSpot. And so additional reasons for that would be in, the integration. that Neel did elaborate on. There is security, which is the two-factor authentication, the PIN, making sure that there's no fraud going on in your office, and clinical decision support resources, just like the NRX scores, the dental alerts, contraindications, things like that. And then finally, we do also have the mobile capability to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Neel now so he can tell you what to do so that you can sign up for this awesome feature.
So Geraldine gave an excellent and very quick demo on how you can use ePrescribing in different situations. So whether it's prescribing a basic prescription and the doctor's doing it all him or herself, or a staff is helping you prepare it, or you're trying to do it for an emergency call or after hours, maybe from your mobile device. And now the question is, how do I get started? Because we want to comply with the law. And the law I didn't mention at the very beginning was that Prescription Drug Monitoring Program law as well, the PDMP, which requires you to check to make sure that a certain patient is not a drug abuser before you prescribe certain medications. So that there's a few laws here that we're going to help you comply with. Number one, of course, being the ePrescribing law to use ePrescribing for medications. So getting started, you first would sign up, and there's different ways to do that. It's very easy to just go to our website, go to our pricing page. I'll show you an example of this in a moment. And then right there is the form. So you never even have to call us. You can just go right to the pricing page, and there's a big red button that I'm going to show you where you can sign up. You can also contact us by email, sales@practice-web.com, or give us a call. We love talking to you. So if you have questions, you need more explanation, just call us 800-845-9379, option 1 for the sales team.
They can do this from within the software, correct, Neel? Using the
e-services from within the software as well. So if you, and it depends, if you're on the latest version, you have this option. If you go to the e-services menu at the top of your practice web, the first option is sign up for Smart Tools. If you click on that, it'll take you right to the form to sign up. So you can definitely do it from the software if you're on one of the more recent versions of Practice Web. Again, there's no sense in waiting. Some doctors want to wait till the last minute. And what's happening right now on our end is we're having delays because so many people are signing up that you don't want to go beyond that deadline. So it's better to do it now. We also have a great offer right now that's not going to be there in December. So I'll share that in a minute. So there's no reason to wait. For setup, it takes about 30 minutes to 2 hours to set everything up. There is an identity verification process with Experian, and that is pretty standard. And our team is great to just help you breeze through that process. There's that two-factor authentication setup that Geraldine demoed a minute ago. And then if your Practice Web needs to be upgraded to the latest version, we will take care of that as well. On the same setup day, you're going to get trained. You'll get a free virtual training for all the prescribers and Proxy users. Whoever needs to get trained on this will get the training. And then after you're done, we don't just wipe our hands clean of you. We are always here to help you out. We're going to do some follow-up care calls, courtesy, just to make sure everything's going well. We'll talk to your team. And then ongoing support, you can contact us during the week, support@practice-web.com, or call us at 800-845-9379, option 2. And also in your Practice Web, under, I think it's the help menu, there's an option where you can get support, and it takes you to the support page on our website. So those are the basically 4 steps. And the offer I alluded to earlier, which expires the end of this month, is a great one. So normally we charge $98 a month for ePrescribing. It's cut in half to $49 a month. You're going to save roughly $600 a year with this offer. And just, I think last month we were charging $299 per setup. We've lowered that all the way down to $99 to make it a little bit easier for you. And then if you are off of support, you do need to be on support to use ePrescribing, because you need to be on the latest version of Practice Web. So you will be able to get back on at a very low rate of $99 a month. And as I was saying at the beginning, you're on a winning team when you're with Practice Web. You're also on the most affordable team, because we are, across the industry, we are the most affordable solution out there. So this is a very, very good offer for you. And with support, I do want to mention, People sometimes wonder what they're getting with support. You get upgrades for Practice Web, the dentist and patient portals, the dentist portal, Geraldine pointed out, for ePrescribing, a practice analyzer where you can look at graphical reports about how your practice is doing. We have mobile forms for patients and online patient registration, and of course, technical support. And we're always adding more to this list, but you get a ton with support. And what Geraldine was talking about, and I'll also refer to, you can go to our website as well and just click anytime the pricing page, and then there's a sign up for Smart Tools option right there. And now with that, we've given you everything you need. You're ready to comply with the ERX law. You're ready to really transform your prescribing process, make it a lot more efficient and quick. So if you need help, again, reach out to us, our sales team, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through the steps again. And do keep learning with us. We're always trying to think of great ways to help your practice thrive. So we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. We have a great blog that has amazing articles that you should have it as required reading for your team if you're using Practice Web, because it's going to help you do a lot better. Just yesterday, actually, I got a call from a dentist, and he was asking, how can I really maximize Practice Web? I know you guys do a ton of stuff, and there's so many things I'm not doing yet. And here's the answer. Just keep learning with us, and you'll get all of that information. So we thank you a lot for your time. We really value your time. And I hope this was helpful to you. Reach out to us if you have any questions, and look forward to talking to each and every one of you about ePrescribing if you have questions. And we'll continue to have great educational webinars like this every single month. Have a nice day, everyone.